Welcome back to another episode of Illinois Football Family. Cam, I'm feeling good coming off this weekend. How you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm feeling great, Juice. This was an amazing win for the Illini. We said 2 weeks ago that this was a new season, that we were starting 0-0, and now we're 1-0 out the gate, man. And I truly do believe that we can find a way to win out and be undefeated on the back end of this season. Um, you know, I think it's worth mentioning the the litmus test, I think, for football teams is if you're improving during the season, right? And some people may think that that's a foregone conclusion. Of course, you want to improve during the season, but it doesn't always happen that way. I played on teams that have peaked during spring ball. I played on teams who have peaked in Rantoul. I played on teams who have peaked in the first or second game of the season. But whether or not you're improving throughout the year is what really matters. And so if the question is, whether or not we're getting better, whether or not we're improving throughout the year, I think the answer is unequivocally, absolutely, in no uncertain terms, absolutely yes, we are. We're getting better, and we saw that this weekend.
No, I mean that's 100%, man. This is definitely one of the more exciting games that I've seen. Not even just Illinois football this year, but just college football in general. Action packed, a lot of back and forth, some hooks being thrown, some counter punches being thrown, and you see a classic game come down to the final few seconds to actually close out in our favor that we see with Illinois winning the game over Minnesota this past weekend. And to your point, I mean you're absolutely right. Each season is always dictated upon whether or not you're improving. Are you making the in-season, in-game adjustments? That's going to be beneficial for you to go out there and win games. Obviously, you got film, you have tendencies, you have all this different data that's around the game that says you do this on third down or you do this on first down or coming out of halftime, you do that. And we create these trends and tendencies, but for the teams who are able to adjust and start to throw teams off a little bit, throw your opponent off a little bit, and continuously get better. You start to see running backs or receivers performing better than they did in the first half of the season. That's all what this is about, right? And again, we reference our experiences as former players. You see that with the 2002 Big Ten championship team. Obviously, you saw that with the 2008 Rose Bowl year, where Ohio State being our peak of that season. So, I mean, you have to constantly get better. We definitely seeing this with this Illinois football team, and it's not just the cornerstone names anymore. We talked about this before. We said, hey, Luke, it's time for Luke to step up and be the playmaker instead of the play manager. Luke having an all-time, not all-time, but he's having a season-high type of game. Then he goes out and get hurt, and then we see somebody else step up and make the plays where we talk about Luke going out there and make. So, I mean, all in all, it was definitely a complete team win. I didn't expect it going down to the wire like that, but hey, look, I'll take it. And anytime we come out on top with a win, man, I'm always excited to see that.
Well, you're right. Listen, you called it. Luke was having a career high game. Listen, he had 3 passing touchdowns, which is his career high. I think he completed something like 78, 79% of his passes before he went back to the sideline. And then the folks who stepped up had to step up. Juice, you know this about me, man. I don't like quarterbacks. I don't like him. Listen, I don't like Juice Williams, the quarterback. I love Isaiah Williams, my brother, but I don't like quarterbacks. But I gotta say, man, both Luke and John Paddock, man, both stepped up in this game, and Paddock did some things that were remarkable. If Paddock never took another snap as an Illini, he's already a legend just off of those 3 plays, man. And I'm not trying to hype him up too much, man, but this was amazing to watch somebody come in a tough situation like this. And to have ice water in his veins and just show up big time, hit big strikes down the field, and find a way to get us into the end zone, it was huge. And I think it's good to watch him. We know some of his story, him being a transfer from Ball State. And Juice, I bet you didn't know because I just found this out today. But John Paddock is the grandson of the great Illini legend John Wright Sr. And yeah, that's his grandkid, man. For those who don't know, John Wright Sr. is an Illini legend. He played at Illinois in the mid '60s, but really has been connected to the program since then. He came and he speaks to every new recruiting class. He comes and speaks to the team all the time. Me and Juice both got to know him as we were players there. John had a NFL career with the Falcons and with the Lions, but he's a Champaign staple. He's a U of I legend, and to see his grandson do what he did last weekend was fun for all of us who know
Hey,
the
bro,
history.
look, man, you like an Illinois football encyclopedia. Like, how do you find that out? Like, out of all people and an alumni base, you figure out like John Paddock is the grandson of John, right? That's wild. Wow.
I te- I tell you what, man. I have my weekly check in with our brother
Okay.
Juice Mitchell,
Okay.
and he brought that up to me, and I was like, I didn't believe him, man. So I had to go look it up myself, and
Okay, that
it
would
is
actually make
absolutely
sense because
true.
he's there on campus, so that actually makes sense. Hey, man, look, we kind of talked about like guys trying to step up and make these plays, and for me, it was always, hey, Luke Alkmaar has to go from just managing the game at this point to going out and winning games because this is kind of how the season is unfolded. It's enough experience that's taken place up until this point where it's like now if you want to kind of rise to the top and start to push Illinois towards these wins, you have to start to step up making these plays at the quarterback position. Now, last thing in my brain is always someone getting hurt. And at some point, like I said, the quarterback needing to make big plays doesn't stop, right? But we just never anticipate the backup guy coming in and finish closing out a game like that. Look, the backup quarterback is going to be the best friend of any college town. Everyone loves the backup quarterback because you're always there as a what if type of guy, right? You get a chance to, do all the hand signals. You get to watch the most film probably, and you're in the safest position by being on the sideline. So a lot of times, you get those mental reps while being on, with the clipboard in your hand, and you can see things from a different perspective versus being out there in front of those live bullets. And from experience, Eddie McGee, who was my backup at the time, he will often see things very clearly that I couldn't really see during the middle of a game. And when he had his opportunity to jump in, it's not even a thought of who's open because he's been seeing this thing happen and unfold the entire time on the sideline. All you got to do is just step up and make them throw. And I think that's exactly what happened in that fourth quarter. I don't think it was much of a read, to be honest with you. Like his eyes were upfield. He knew exactly where he needed to go with that ball when he threw it to Isaiah Williams for the touchdown. And I'm just kind of looking at that. Those are just all mental reps that he's been taking their entire game, entire season. And he's seeing something back there that, as being in live action, you don't always get a chance to witness. But him just knowing exactly where the ball should go, stepping up and making a throw, I think that was ultimately what led to him actually going out there and executing on that last touchdown drive.
And that's a big deal. We both know backup quarterbacks who are involved in the game, watching the play calling, watching scouting, getting ready not just for their turn out there, but being able to tell QB1 what they're seeing and what he should be looking for and how to make better throws and better decisions. And we also have seen second string quarterbacks who are checked out, who are not really paying attention, who got a chip on their shoulder because they're upset that they're not QB1 and who are not doing their part. I think you're absolutely right. The reason that John Paddock was able to come in and do what he did with such quickness and proficiency is because he had been watching the whole game and he was able to see things maybe that Luke didn't see while he was out there on the field, and he was able to capitalize immediately on what that defense was doing. That's a pro move, man. And so, listen, like I said, I'm going to say this again, I don't like quarterbacks, but I'm a fan of what he did. And I'm tempted to give him a nickname, man. Listen, because he was cool about it. I want to call him Johnny Ice, man. But I also got to call big number 4, Josiah Newton. Johnny Newton, that's Johnny Fire, right? So we got Johnny Fire and Johnny Ice. And they gonna hopefully do some good things during the club.
So as a guy with a nickname, I'm gonna give him another week or two before I deem him with a nickname. You got to earn that. You coming from me, you have to really earn that. You got to earn that title. Hey, but look, quarterback by committee often happens. Just like we see running backs by committee, we see receiver groups by committee, quarterback by committee. A lot of times is what's needed until someone steps up and be the guy at the quarterback position. And that's not always something that takes place right away, especially when you have some quarterback turnover. Obviously, with Luke being a new face, his first year starting with the program, John coming over from Ball State as a transfer, no one has really kind of, sunk their teeth into this Atlanta offense and taking the lead. And sometimes you got to have a change of pace sometimes, having someone come off the sideline, go out there, make some plays, and a lot of times we see some level of a rotation. I'm not sure that's what they're going to do going into the rest of the back half of the season with Luke's injury, and I'm not sure what the status is with that. But I wouldn't be shocked to see Coach B install some sort of change of pace just to add on what John Paddock was able to do at the final ends of that game, because that's all type of confidence and inspiration and excitement and motivation for the entire team to see him go out there and make those type of plays. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what this practice schedule looks like. Who's getting what reps, who's going with the ones and twos, how they're splitting it, whether or not Luke is going to be healthy. I know Coach B, he's kind of, it's a big question mark on his health at this point. So I'd be interested to see, what the ultimate approach is, knowing that you got two guys that can go out there and make plays like that.
Listen, I think you're right, and the difficult thing for a defense when preparing to play a quarterback is you can get locked in really easy on one player and one type of play, right? But when you got two or three guys, and you're doing quarterback by committee, it's much more difficult for the defense to settle in and figure out what their groove is, and how to operate in that space. I'm reminded of my freshman and sophomore year when we would open up the year with Mizzou down in St. Louis, and I remember us preparing in 2003 for Brad Smith. Brad Smith was a one of a kind quarterback, right? So everything that we did in camp, everything we did in the days leading up to the game was about a mobile quarterback. And then somewhere in the third quarter, Gary Pinkel took Brad out just to mess with us and put a more traditional QB in, which messed up everything that we were doing on defense, right? And so showing those different looks and having that diversity in who's under center can really be a game changer, especially this late in the season.
And you got to be careful with that too. I mean, as much as as a fan, sometimes from the stands, you'd say, well, why don't you just do that all the time? Why don't you just have this quarterback go first or second down, this quarterback go third and fourth down, right? Well, it don't always work like that. It's not a video game, because when you swap out quarterbacks, you switching out the type of chemistry that comes along with that, right? Even simply calling the plays in the huddle, the snap counts, all that changes. And even as a wide receiver, you have a mobile quarterback who can extend plays using their legs. The receivers can stay on the move to get open. When you got a bit more of a traditional dropback, you have to get your head around quick, because that ball is coming out pretty fast, and there probably won't be any extended plays in terms of scramble drills or things like that. So that changes gears. So you have to be careful. You have to really fine tune that process if you're going to go with a dual quarterback system. It could be effective, but at the same time, it could work against you as well. So I don't want fans to get too excited, thinking this is a video game, just swapping out pieces like that.
Well, I trust that this coaching staff is going to do the right thing for this program, the right thing for this team based on what we have. Obviously, we hope that Luke is able to get through whatever injury he does have, and that he can find his way back to the field, and that we can find ways to mix it up with John Paddock as well.
Yeah, man. So, speaking of another individual performance, I guess you could call my protege, Isaiah Williams, one. I mean, he had his coming out party as a wide receiver. 13 catches, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns. We seen him go off at the quarterback position before and actually broke my home record for a rushing quarterback. We see him go out at the quarterback position, but I think we've all been on the edge of our seats to see when he would have his breakout game as a wide receiver. Not only was it fun to see him go off the way he did the entire game, but for him to make the game-winning touchdown on the post route over the top, I mean, that was just icing on the cake. And that gives us a sense of, this is just the reality or the realization of, look, all that potential is starting to realize itself, because he's actually out there making the plays now. So if we can activate a weapon like that, which we all know, what he's capable of doing, along with have guys like Johnny Newton, Pat Bryant, John Paddock, Luke coming back, getting healthy, and everyone is, making these type of plays. I mean, we can be a very dangerous team going into these back half of the season.
Yeah, I can't say it any better than you just said it. Those of us who watch this game, who understand this game, know that potential is both a gift and a curse. And many of us who have been able to see the skill set that Isaiah Williams has have been waiting for him really just to kind of to hop that hurdle and to be the complete receiver that we know he can be just based on the skills and the attributes that he has, and he did that. He did that in a big way this past weekend against Minnesota, and so it means a lot of things. One, it gives us more opportunities to win games like we did this week, but also because of what he did, he will now absolutely have every other team we play from here on out game planning against him intentionally, which does a few things, right? It's going to put some pressure on him, and it's going to make him have to rise to the occasion, but it's also going to give other guys an opportunity to show up. When defenses lock in on one guy, it's going to give other, quote unquote, role players the ability to step up in the spotlight as well. And so I'm looking for big games from Pat Bryant and the rest of the crew because there's going to be a lot of focus on Isaiah for the next 3 weeks.
No, man, 100%. And that's a good point as I transition into our juice box segment for this episode. And I like to catch you off guard with stuff that's going to be super random and cause you to think on the spot. All right. So speaking of how Illinois just won this game in the last, within the last minute or so against Minnesota. You're the defensive coordinator for Minnesota, right? And your team is out there on the field. They're gasping for air. They're getting fatigued. It's 4th and 11. Design me your play to get off the field as a defensive coordinator to stop a high-power offense like that in the fourth quarter. Design up a defensive scheme for one play that you run out there to execute to get a stop for your defense.
Oh, well, okay, this is a different one. Well, let me start off by saying no one's ever asked me to be a defensive coordinator because that's not my ministry, man. I'm a caveman when it comes to football. I'm a savage. I got one rule and one rule only, and that is go get the quarterback, right?
Go get him.
But taking this task as it is, I like seeing movement up front. Especially when guys are winded, right? I'm not a big kind of scheme and tricks guy, but sometimes you got to do something a little extra to get your guys ramped up, especially on 4th or 3rd and long, right? Especially if guys are winded, right? And so, I would try to find a way probably to blitz from the short side boundary if the football's on the hash, right? Just depending on what the field position is. We know in 3rd and 4th and long or medium, the quarterbacks become clutch. And so we need to seriously limit whatever those passing windows are for the quarterback. So I think like a zone weak corner blitz to me is a good balance of both pressure and coverage. And then I would use the safety on the other side of the field to fill in for the corner that's blitzing to handle the gap until the linebacker can get there. That's right. Mm-hmm. And then I would do some sexy stuff, man, with my D-line if I can get them excited about it, man. I would have both my 3 technique and my nose keying in on the center. I would then kind of float the other D-tackle away from the sliding center and ricochet upfield to see if we can get the D-tackle to wrap around and get some pressure from the quarterback that way. That's I don't know what I would call that. It's more intricate than I normally would say, but you asked an intricate question, so I'm trying to play the game long. But into the game, go get the quarterback, man. Just go get the quarterback.
Get the quarterback. I like it, man. I like it. No, what you dialed up is quite difficult to defend because you don't expect it. 4th and 11, you think everyone drops back in coverage, and you got time to get the ball off. Those hot blitzes in an unexpected situation like that, where quarterback-wise, my eyes are up the field and I'm looking at the safety, and someone comes off the edge and catch me off guard. A lot of times, boom, there it is, right? Get the quarterback hit, some quarterback pressure. You get off the field pretty quick. So I actually like that. Good job, Ken. I think I catch you off guard with that. All right, Indiana, man, we have another winnable game, in my opinion, coming up this weekend. They was able to go out and get an upset against Wisconsin. Now, good for them last week against Wisconsin. I don't quite believe that hype. I know Wisconsin is a pretty solid team, and I think that's a game that got away from them. You line that game up again this upcoming weekend, I don't think Indiana has a chance against Wisconsin, but they just kind of called them and they did what they were supposed to do this past weekend. But I think far as with Illinois coming off a monster win like we did, the way we won, I think there's a lot of excitement overhang going into this game against Indiana. And, on paper, this is a very winnable game. And this has started, I guess in some level has developed into an unofficial rivalry, Illinois and Indiana over the years. Even if you're looking at Illinois, Indiana basketball, right? This has kind of been that little tension down 74, I-74 for some time now. So with everything that's on the line in terms of bowl contentions, what are your thoughts going into this game against Indiana? What are some of the keys to victory as we face the Hoosiers this week?
Well, there's a few things. We should put it on the table that, yes, we can afford to lose this game, but we better not, right? We can't come in here thinking we got 3 to get 2. We got to win every game in the second half of the season.
Take care of business now
to make it happen, right? And so this game is extremely winnable. I agree with you. The Wisconsin game does not really show us who Wisconsin really is or who Indiana really is. But that's also one of the great things about playing in the greatest conference in college football is that anybody can beat anybody any week. And that's what makes the Big Ten, I think, better than our counterparts in conferences around the country. And what I also will say that the Wisconsin win, I still believe, probably belongs to us, man, because we beat them up pretty bad, man. They're still limping around, and so when folks have been able to get the best of Wisconsin for the last couple of weeks, I do think it's because of the hurting that we were able to put on them when they visited Champaign just a couple weeks ago for homecoming. At the end of the day, this game is going to come down to who wants it most. Indiana is just like us. They're surging at the right time, right? They're getting better at the right point of the season, which can lead to some problems for us playing against them. But I think that, man to man, we match up pound for pound much better than them. I'll cut it off before it starts. No, we don't have a quarterback controversy. As you said, we may have quarterback by committee, and we'll make that happen. I'm sure the coaching staff will do the right things to do that. But I said this last week, Juice, and it was very clear in the win against Minnesota. I'll say it again. Hot boy summer is over. It is Fat Boy fall. It is Fat Boy fall. The way we won this game last week was that, Luke had a career game, and then Paddock came out and had a career game, and Isaiah had a career game. It was because the O-line was protecting them. And then when it comes to the defensive stops, especially that big one on 4th down, big number 4 being back after his suspension, doing what he had to do, the big guys up front on the defensive side of the ball made a huge difference too. And so this is fall football. It comes down to the trenches. Fat Boy fall is upon us. That's going to win this game.
Hey, look, Fat Boy Fall is definitely here. The game is won in the trenches in November. I mean, and in the Midwest, we all know that it gets chilly. It gets chillier this time of year. We don't have the luxury of being in Florida or in California where the elements work in your favor as an offense, right? So the guys in the trenches really start to grind it out and put the closing remarks on any season for all the teams that's playing in these cold weather environments, and we're no exception to that rule. Hey, I think just like last week, I mean, we got to have our big name players step up and make the big plays. So this is one of those games where Indiana, if you let them stick around long enough, they'll find a way to make their game very interesting, and sometimes they'll win, right? We saw that happen with them in Wisconsin last week. So, and like I said, I'm not necessarily a believer in that Indiana team as a huge threat. I think Minnesota was a bit more dangerous than this Indiana team is coming into this week. But it's still the Big Ten. You still actually got to go out there and do it. So, my prescription for this team, you get out big quick, and you really take away any sort of motivation that they have right away. They're 3-6. They can't afford another loss. So them being down big at halftime, they'll tap out because we all know that you play for a bowl. You play for a bowl appearance. And if at halftime you're down 21, 28 points, 30 points or something like that, that's pretty much it. You could potentially lose by 50 because you pretty much just kind of tapped up knowing that you're not going to make it to a bowl game. So I think we have to put them in this situation where let them know from the jump, y'all don't have a shot today. Y'all coming in our backyard. Everything is on the line. This is that indirect rivalry that I talked about. We know y'all don't really like us. We don't really like y'all like that. So we're going to hit y'all in the mouth early to let y'all know this ain't that this weekend.
That's true. And the other thing is that we've been able to be really successful in the last few weeks on the road, right? Two really big road victories with Minnesota and with Maryland. in the last few weeks. And so we're at home now. We're at home in front of our fans who should be re-energized about Illinois football. The good thing about this quote-unquote rivalry is that many of the Illinois guys have some good memories of us being able to dominate Indiana throughout the years. But many of the Indiana guys, I mean, their entire roster is transfer portal results, right? And so some of these guys don't even kind of understand the friction within the conference, which is good. So we'll smack them in the mouth as soon as they walk out the tunnel, man. And we got to keep our foot on their neck because, as you said, you give them too much breathing room, and anything can happen. This is the Big Ten. Anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And again, like I said, I mean, you put these guys away early. By hitting them in the mouth, you hit them often. And I think it's going to take guys like Johnny Newton, obviously, to set the tone on defense and let America know why he's the top defensive tackle in the country. And I think he could single-handedly point that out and be a disruptor early in this game. And I also think on the flip side, we talked about Luke Altmaier and John Paddock quite some time, but I think Isaiah, he goes into that huddle and starts to demand the ball a little bit. And not in a cocky or arrogant way because you had a career day, but no. I'm one of the more electrifying players in this conference. Give me a chance to spin a little bit and let me take some of the burden off the quarterback position, and even off some of these running backs as well. So I think you have that type of energy, that type of bounce, not only from a play design, a game plan standpoint, but on an individual basis. Like I'm big on, I'm just better than you. I'm big on that type of energy.
Yeah.
I think he walks into the huddle letting those guys know, look, I need all y'all to do what y'all need to do because give me the ball and we gonna put them away early, right? And I think that's the type of game that they need to have. So I mean, everything has to stack. I mean, of course, you're just not gonna do that come Saturday, right? Every day this week matters, Monday through Friday, as you prepare for a type of game like that. But I think that's the type of result that we'll need to see come Saturday in order for us to get to jump on Indiana quick.
Juice, that all gas, no brakes, that put your foot on their neck and never let go. Type of deal. It reminds me of something that one of our former teammates, Jason Davis, used to say. He would ask the question, how do you kill an ant? With a sledgehammer, right? That's how you kill an ant.
With a sledgehammer, no mercy.
No mercy.
No mercy. Zero. Yeah. Kill an ant with a sledgehammer. Twice if you need to. No, man. So that's the type of, I mean, and again, that's just me, how I like to play the game. And I know for sure that's how you play the game as well. And it gets simple as that. I mean, all of the data and the analytics and all the statistics, that's cool. But sometimes it's games like this. Like, look, we're just gonna punch y'all in the mouth, and we're gonna do it early, and we're just gonna stomp on y'all. Any life y'all thought y'all had, we're gonna zap that out of y'all pretty quick. Now you have to do that, and you have to be smart about it, and be passionate, but play within the rules and play within the whistle. But don't miss because, again, these guys can capitalize off that, keep the game close, right? And then who knows what happens in the third or fourth quarter.
Absolutely.
Yep. So it should be a fun game, man. And look, I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, I mean, no, it's not a must win in terms of do we need to win out? No, we get a 1-game mulligan in there. But let's not use that on Indiana because, we still got Iowa next week. And obviously Northwestern is always a tough game. So you never know what's going to happen with that. So I'm really big on taking care of business while we got the opportunity before back us against the wall, which will, inflict a lot of additional pressure. So I'm looking forward to checking it out this weekend and seeing what the game comes about.
Same here. Well, listen, with every win, we get better. With every win, it gets easier, right? And more pressure is relieved from us when it comes to postseason play. And so this is a big game. Once again, like I said, we can afford to win this game, but we better not win it. I mean, to lose this game, but we better not lose it because this is the momentum that we need to win the next 3 games, the next 2 games after that as well.
Yeah, man, for sure. I'm thinking back, man, it's Indiana, and I'm trying to think back to my history with Indiana. For you, any memories jump out? Like key games, key performances?
I remember playing.
I mean, look, this is Illinois football, so talk about the scuffles too, if we got any history with Indiana as well.
Yeah, Indiana never much wanted to fight us, but listen,
they didn't want no smoke.
There was a point in time in Illinois football in the early years for me where we may not have won on the field, but we definitely didn't lose in other places on the streets, and the after the extracurricular activities, we were really good at that. But you know, I'm reminded when I think of Indiana, I remember going to play them for their homecoming. I think it was in 2005, Zook's first year there, and we it was a rainy day in Bloomington. I remember us getting there super late the night before because we had some issues with our transportation, and they had a young man by the name of Ben Jarvis Green Ellis playing running back. You remember Ben Jarvis?
I do.
And Ben Jarvis is funny, man. Our families go way back. He grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. He went to St. Augustine High School, which is in the community that my family lives in New Orleans. And so I've known the law firm, as they called him, for a very long time. And he rushed for a couple hundred yards on us, man. But that was one of those games that it just was a tough game. We found a way to just come back, and we won that game. We didn't win it by much, but we did win it. And that was a great feeling, man, to watch Illinois football kind of pull it together on the road in Bloomington. But that's always thank God we're playing in Champaign, because that's always a tough place to play. I never liked playing in the other Memorial Stadium, and they also have the other Assembly Hall there. They've tried to be like us for a long time, but yeah, man, Indiana's always been an interesting rivalry for us.
Yeah, so Indiana is always a tricky game because even just to commute to Indiana, they're not that far away, so you actually have to bus over to Bloomington, Indiana, versus taking a flight. So I mean, it was always just weird playing against them. It's like it's so many similarities in terms of stadium capacity, program history, things like that. There's a lot of guys that you went through the recruiting ranks with. It was always tricky. But a couple performances that jump out for me. I mean, the biggest one, at least I had the experience of being involved with, was 2007. Rashard Mendenhall got off against Indiana, and that was the first time I looked at Rashard. Again, we talk about realizing talent. That's the first time I looked at Rashard and said, "Oh yeah, he's a 20-year-old junior. Yeah, I got about 6 games left with him. He's out of here. He's going to the NFL for sure." Because I want to say Rashard had something like 16 carries for like 240 yards, 4 touchdowns, or something crazy like that. He went off, and I remember he had a discussion with the running backs coach Reggie Mitchell, and Reggie Mitchell used to always give him a hard time about swinging the ball and cutting back across field. And I've never seen a player do this to a coach at that age. He said, "Look, coach, I tell you what, I make you a bet, I make you a deal. If you let me play however I want to play for one game, I'm gonna make you look like the best running back coach in America." And the way he said it, Cam, in front of everybody. And I mean, you can't do anything but respect it. And the coach was like, "All right, look, you get one game, but if you stink it up, you're done. Like you'll be on the bench with me for the rest of the year."
Listen.
And I mean, he went out there, 16 carries, 4 touchdowns, and I'm like, "Look, this dude is special." So I mean, you talk about performance-wise against Indiana, I mean, that got to be my top one.
That's a legendary story, man, because anybody who knows Rashard and anybody who knows Coach Mitchell knows that Juice probably gave the PG-13 version of that story, of that commentary.
I definitely get a PG version of that,
especially at that point in Rashard's career. And listen, Coach Mitchell, man, I've known him for a long time. He's my fraternity brother. He recruited me in high school. But you can ask some guys around the league how he likes to motivate guys like it takes Plaxico Burress to talk about Reggie Mitchell and the way he used to talk to him in East Lansing when Reggie was at Michigan State. But I can only imagine how that conversation went. I'm playing it in my head right now, and it's hilarious.
Oh man, it was tension. It was tension. Definitely some F-bombs dropped. Some Gatorade being tossed around. So it's a story. It's a story for the books for sure. Because again, a kid, you're 20, and you bet it all on one game, one performance. I mean, that just kind of speaks volumes to what he thought about himself, and obviously he had everyone else's respect around him because everyone let it really happen. So that was pretty dope. But I mean, yeah, but Indiana is always a tough game, and I remember the following year, we really stuck it to Indiana. We actually smacked them for homecoming night game, 55-13, and I actually had a pretty solid game that week too. So it's always fun. They're gonna hit you hard. They're going to be competitive, but with as much as on the line as this game, because we are playing them towards the end of the year, not early on, where there's not many bowl indications to it. But with so much on the line, this will be a hard fought game. Super excited to see what this is going to look like come Saturday.
I'm excited about it too. This is going to be big, and if we can pull it all together and play a complete game, I think we'll walk away from Saturday feeling good about ourselves with a W and getting ready for the next one.
Got it, man. What else is going on? College football. I mean, we got a couple minutes left. Just kind of open the floor up a little bit. Obviously we kind of talked about Caleb Williams last week. Look, I am a high emotion guy, and no one likes losing less than I do. Caleb was actually boo-hooing on the sideline this week, and I don't know if you saw that. They lost again. They probably should have won. What was those tears about? I can't quite figure it out, right? And unless he knows something or someone else knows something I'm not aware of, those with tears are like that was it. Like this is he lost something in that game besides a win.
I'm still trying to figure it out, and I'm a skeptic by nature. I know when you're the projected number one pick in the NFL draft, that there are people coaching you and telling you that people are watching every single thing you do. So it's not like he didn't know. It's not like Cam Buckner getting caught on the sideline digging in his nose, right? Nobody watching me. Like this dude knows that everybody's looking at him, man. So I'm a little confused and concerned about what that was about. Especially given the conversation we had 2 weeks ago about what his father is asking from teams, that are looking to draft him as far as equity stake in the organization. And so I'm a little confused, bro. I don't know what that was.
Man, look, same thing, because I'm like, look, you know all those cameras on you, right? You can't even chew gum or whatever it is without someone looking you to start the quarterback and you win a Heisman. You got Wendy's commercials, you got endorsements. You know people watching, and you still crying like that in Auntie's arms, boo-hooing like that with the knowledge of how many cameras on you. So I don't know. Look, something's telling me it was something that was riding on the game, and I'm not saying that in like an illegal, like a sports betting way. Nothing like that. But I don't know, man. Pop's probably told like, look, we need this win, or we gonna lose that half a point we was trying to get. You know what I mean? I feel like it was something like that was going on that was really riding on this game, because I mean, look, those was like tears of like, yo, I failed a test, or I'm getting kicked out or expelled or something like that. Those are some serious tears. And after the game, I think he said something like, I just want to go home and cuddle up with my dog or something like that. Like, yo, what is going on with this dude?
Man, I tell you what, and when I saw it, I was thinking about how fortunate we have been and how fortunate folks are to play a game they love, right? And we can talk about compensation. You know how I feel about that. But regardless from all that, being able to play a game you love, and wins and losses matter, and losses hurt. But man, this man is on the national stage, playing the game he loves. I remember after a bad loss, and I can't remember who it was, but I'm walking through the locker room, kind of looking down, and you know this. I came from a high school football program where I probably lost 5 games my entire high school career, and so. Losing to Illinois early was not something that I was used to, and I remember walking around the stadium, the facility with a long face one day, and Coach Zook ran up on me and grabbed me like he would do. He said, "What's wrong with you, man?" I said, "Man, we losing, bro. Like, what do you mean, what's wrong with me?" And he said, "You could be." This is during the Iraq War. He said, "You can be in Iraq or Afghanistan in a foxhole with an AK-47 and a can of beans, but you're here with me at the U of I playing football. This is the greatest day of your life." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. This is the greatest day of my life."
That's some perspective for you. Damn.
Yeah, greatest day of my life, man. So, I don't know, Caleb. Head up, bro. I don't know what's going on, but it's not that serious.
It ain't that deep, bro. I know, and look, and this is me. I am competitive. Like, I hate losing. I get it. I absolutely get it.
You are, yeah.
But man, he was like balled up in Auntie arms, like, yo, it's gonna be okay. Like, we lost somebody. So I mean, but look, this is all funny games to us. I mean, whatever you got going on, man. Like, look, good luck with everything. Much respect. But that was very funny to see that. So I mean, look, Good kid, good, phenomenal talent. But we got some questions around them tears. Those were some
We
big
do.
teardrops, bro. We got some questions around that. Hey man, it's been fun, Cam. As always, man. Looking forward to the game this weekend. Super excited to see what the results are going to be. It's a lot riding on this game against Indiana. Obviously, we're pulling for Illinois to just get us one step closer to being in bowl contentions. Super excited to see what comes about, and it's always good to be here with you, brother.
Man, great to chat as always. Looking forward to the rest of this season. And it really starts with what happens this week. This is a big game. We'll get over this hump. I believe we can find a way to pull it together and move this team in the right direction. So we'll do this again next week, bro. Oski wow wow.
Oski wow wow. Until next time.